In this extra class, we will be talking about few important things which we somehow miss out in our regular classes, just because I'm doing this thing just because I know that students are doing well, but at the same time there are a few crises in certain areas. For example, there might be a concern that how can we construct a sentence in case of text analysis? How do we follow the point evidence explanation area, specifically the area which we know as point evidence and explanation, right? This is the major area over here which I'm more concerned about, and that has to be followed by gap list. When I'm talking about constructing sentence, okay, and in case of text analysis, I always talk about the stream. I always talk about the stream. The stream means the way you will proceed towards your answer, okay? Now, for example, if I write a sentence over here that speaks like this, John is a magnificent player, right? Now, if I give you a question like this, because I cannot pull out the whole text over here, that's why I have to deal with this single sentence and try to make you explain how can we make sentences more easier and so that it doesn't give us any kind of tension. So if I give you the question like this, how does the writer, let's say, okay, how does the writer describe, let's say, how does the writer describe John's skills? Okay, use reference from this particular sentence to support your answer. Now the writer has written this sentence, right? The writer wrote this. Now our subject, now when you look into a sentence, try thinking from the perspective of looking into a paragraph, then you can come down to the sentence easily. Like if you think about the paragraph, okay, if you think about the paragraph or the whole text, I cannot pull off the whole text right now, because if I start making the analysis of the whole text, it's going to take more time, but I'll show you some smaller paragraphs in today's class. Okay, let me start with the sentence as well. So John is a magnificent player. John is a magnificent player. That's what the writer has said. Now, how does the writer describe John's skills? So when we receive questions like this is a text analysis. This is a typical text analysis question. Remember, this kind of question carries 10 marks. So you will have two questions like this, one from text 1 and one from text 2. And you will have another question, which is a TC question, text comparison question. That's for 15 marks. Okay, that's I've already mentioned. So over here, in general, you have in total 35 marks to complete in this paper, which is actually an important element for this whole English language paper. So let's go back to the sentence. John is a magnificent player. No doubt about that. The writer has praised John, right? This is the first clue that we can get. So let me assemble clues from here so that we can easily identify the points which is being shared by the writer just to support the question. Remember, your answer needs to come from the question. Some students usually think that text analysis means I just random out of random I analyze the text and let's fit it in the writing. That will not give you the mark. The mark can be carried if you somehow manage to answer the question, and every sentence that you will encounter or you will write down in your examination paper will be suitable. Those particular sentences need to be directed from the question. Those sentences need to be directed from the question. Not a single sentence is allowed in your whole writing that does not follow the question. For example, how does the writer describe John's skills? Now, in this particular sentence, John's skills is being described by the writer. There is no way you will comment on anything else. You have to think from the perspective that I am answering the question and the question is asking me to describe the way the writer has described or explained John's skill. So first, let's clue ourselves in, okay? First clue, as a whole, the writer has praised John, first of all. Second of all, second thing is, yes, that's an adjective, no doubt about that, right? Uh, that's, if I have to go from different area, that's a simple sentence. Basic stuffs are done. So for this particular thing, we have three clues. Now, how can we construct this idea so that our three clues that we have found out can come into single sentence, and we can actually end up, uh, following this area which I wrote, the stream, and follow obviously the point, evidence, and explanation area. Okay. Now, we can write in this way. If I may show you, how can I show you? Okay, let me show you over here. So the writer phrases, or the writer has stated in a positive manner with the use of the adjective, quotation, magnificent, quotation closed, which clearly explains John's skill. That's it. The writer has. So my point was, which one was my point? My point was, in this case, if I have to write it down from the idea of P dot E dot E, which stands for point, evis, which means evidence, and explanation. Okay. So my point is this one, my evidence is this one, my explanation is this one. Or clearly explains how good a player John is. We can write like that. How good a player John is. We can write like this. Okay. So see, the streaming is being followed. Now, if I have to show you another screen, this screen is kind of a declarative screen. Okay, I am more concerned about this one that I would like to show all of you. Okay, now which one should I show you? Let me see. Okay, let's see. Now, can you see the screen, by the way?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay. Let's read this one. Okay, this particular whole paragraph. A slag heap. Slag heap means a heap of junk and litters and dumps. Okay, you know, the slag heap means a heap of dirt and all the dust and everything that is being dumped on earth. Okay, a slag heap is at best a hideous thing because it is so planless and functionless. It is something just dumped on the earth, like the emptying of a giant's dustbin. On the outskirts of the mining towns, there are frightful landscapes where your horizon is ringed completely round by jagged gray mountains, and underfoot is mud and ashes, and overhead the steel cables where tubs of dirt travel slowly across miles of country. Often the slag heaps are on fire, and at night you can see the red rivulets of fire winding this way and that, and also the slow-moving blue flames of sulfur, which always seem on the point of expiring and always spring out again. Even when a slag heap sinks, as it does ultimately, only an evil brown grass grows on it, and it retains its hummocky surface. One in the slums of Wigan, used as a playground, looks like a choppy sea suddenly frozen, the flock mattress. It is called locally. Even centuries hence, when the plough drives over the places where coal was once mined, the sites of ancient slag heaps will still be distinguishable from an aeroplane. Okay. Now look at the question. Read the paragraph again. Find examples of Orwell. Orwell means the writer. Writer's language choices to complete the second column of the table. Okay, let's see the column over here. Okay, so the language choices, adverbials, he used adverbials. For example, underfoot, overhead, ringed, completely found. What is the effect? Remember, point, evidence, explanations, major area that matters to me or that should matter to you the most is, you know, that explanation that I showed you. That explanation is nothing but this, the effect. Like in case of point, evidence, and explanation, this explanation is actually nothing but the effect of that point. For example, the point is the adverbs, the evidence is the underfoot, overhead, ringed, completely round, and the effect of that word in on the reader or throughout the text create a feeling of claustrophobia because they suggest people are completely surrounded by the effects of industrialization. See, this thing is not mentioned in the text. This has to come from your understanding of the point, because for example, the text is only offering you this one. You are aware of this, right? That the text is offering you only the evidences, nothing else. You have to find out whether it's an adverb or what sort of device it is, and you have to explain accordingly. Okay, now what I'm going to do right now, if we go down a bit, let me show you. There are few other points to be made from here. For example, references to color. There are powerful adjectives that are given over here. Okay, okay. Powerful adjectives and repetition, imagery, or comparison. So if I go back to the text, if I show you just under the effect, wait, let me give you the chance to take a screenshot. Okay. Okay. So let me give you the chance to take the screenshot of the text. It will help you in the upcoming classes, okay, that we'll be taking in the next step. Okay. Can you please take the screenshot of this particular part? Done?
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir, done.
Okay. So now let's talk about the reference to the color, powerful adjectives, reference to the color. Okay, let's see how many color or how many types of colors have been mentioned over here. Okay, let's see if we can find it or not. Slag heap, best hideous thing, planless, functionless, something just dumped on the earth, like emptying the giant dustbin. See the giant's dustbin, see the personification over here. On the outskirts of the mining towns, frightful landscapes, horizon is ringed completely by the jagged gray mountains. See the color, gray mountains, mountain is gray. Underfoot is mud ashes, overhead the steel cables, where the tubs of dirt travel slowly across the mass of the country. Often the slag heaps are on fire, and at night you can see the red rivulets, again a color of fire winding this way and that, and also the slow moving blue flames, which always seem on the point of expiring and always spring out again. Even when a slag heap sinks, as it does ultimately, even brown grass comes out of it. It remains hammocky surface on the slums of Wigan, used as a playground, looks like a choppy sea suddenly frozen, flock mattress. Okay, so that's it. So the color based information or the color based points are, one is here, one is here, one is here, and another one is here. Okay, now let's try to explain them. Gray mountains and underfoot, gray mountains and somehow red, blue, and brown. So if I have to talk about the color, it actually shows the contrast. Okay, contrast of what? Contrast between the nature. Okay, contrast between the nature and the pollution or the slag heaps. Pollution, or in short, the slag heap. Okay, that's the first point that I can pick. Okay, now blue flames is actually using as an imagery or images over here, which is clearly showing the picturesque description. Picture red rivulets of fire winding this way. So why does it show red? The red actually signifies, in this case, red rivulets of fire, which means it's approaching destruction. Approaching destruction. Okay, Now brown grass growed on it. It actually symbolizes the birth of or reborn or birth of something evil. Something evil. See the way I'm finding out the points. When you are taking the script from me, like when I'm taking the test or giving you classwork on text analysis, please try to make sure that you find points based on that. Okay, like this. Like you don't have to write down straightforward when you get the questions of the text. You can just take some time, think on the points. If you don't have the the printed version with you, you can make those points on your script. It's easier, okay, in this way. So moving on, okay, I'm not going to extend the lecture so much from now. I will just try to move on to the next bit. So moving on to the next part. Okay, all right, here we go. Look at that. Look at that, the way the writer has pointed out some of the things. As you can see on the screen, the number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, like these numbers are actually given just to point out some of the points. And over here, the explanation is given. Look at the way the explanation has been made. By the Transport Research Laboratory, sounds official. She's got important research to back to her. So sounds official means when you, according to the question, when you see that there are some authentic resources given over here, authentic resources. Authentic means when you see a name of an organization, when you see a name of a company, name of someone famous, name of some building which is known to everyone, that is also known as the authentic reference or official names. Taapore, look at this one. Who? Using personal details makes it sound like she really cares about her, understands the issue. See how many interpretations can we make out of pronouns. So the pronouns like who, personal pronouns are who, which, you, okay, these pronouns are actually used for various purposes. Okay, it depends on the sentence. So in this sentence, which counting the months until she's almost 17, it kind of shows a personal touch. And look at this number 3 exclamation mark. We just see the exclamation mark over here. Okay, this one, emphasizing the idea that you're still young. So all grown up, see extent. So everything that you see, depending on the question, you will always end up finding some sort of point related to it. Okay, I'm not going to emphasize and you have to pick this one or that one. It's nothing at all unless or until you go and try to identify those points. Okay, so I'll be talking about this more in the main class. Our next class, which is the main class, which is tomorrow, inshallah, we'll be able to talk more on this one. I have already picked a few things. For example, over here we have connotations as well, like adjectives, grasping. What, remember I talked about connotations in class? Wait,